All right, everybody. This is another warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024 part. We'll call it 154. Not sure, but this really doesn't have. It might have a different title on it, even different than running for office, but. And if any of you don't know about that, the whole thing is we need a independent candidate in the independent party. And so this is, I don't know exactly if it's the first ever YouTube only deal, but if get enough thumbs up and enough support in 2024, when it came time to file the paperwork and make it official to run for president, I would do that. I'm not asking anybody for any money, for any political campaign, or for any of the religious stuff I talk about. If you feel like giving, give to a charity that feeds people who have suffered through war and refugee camps and stuff like that. Whatever you want. American Heart Association, the ASPCA, anything you find worthwhile. If anything I've ever said on any of these videos did you some good somehow, and you have a few extra bucks, you want to give it to somebody, I don't need it. I work for a living, at least for the time being, you know, with all this talk about hunting people down and all this kind of crap going on. Who knows? But you know what's amazing about that is you see like when Kevin Hart said his thing, which was an old joke and everything, part of his bit, you know, about how he didn't want his kids to be gay and things like that, and they got all over him and stuff, and then, you know, he backpedaled and all that, and it's happened to several people. And if you remember back to the invasion of Iraq, the Dixie Chicks pretty much got shut down for what they said and stuff. So it goes both ways, both parties. But here's what gets me. A lot of people, I mean, Kevin Hart's wealthy. You know, no matter what they threaten, well, we're going to take away the Oscars, or, you know, if they told him, oh, they're gonna make it hard, he won't ever make a movie again, or whatever. He's wealthy as shit, you know, and they couldn't stop people from going to see him, you know, even if he had to go overseas and do shows and stuff. I mean, he could still work, you know. So, you know, that's what I don't get. There's plenty of wealthy people who don't speak out, who'd be really insulated, you know. What are they going to do to him? You know, who could speak out on a lot of things. You know, and same with politics and all that. I mean, they're all worried for their careers, but I don't want to get off too much on any of that stuff there. But, so here's the deal. There's such a tangled ball of twine or spaghetti, whatever you want to call it, with a bunch of things going on. I'm just going to throw out a bunch of stuff here. Kind of goes in theme with the last few of these, and see if it's been a long day too, so if I seem to wander or whatever, or have to do another one of these, forgive me. I ain't even had my dinner yet, but all right. So knowing that they'll lie to us and they'll do things to get us involved in wars, just for some people who don't know some of those things, I'll toss out some of the things we've found out about, all right, and some of the other things some people are suspicious of. So if you go back, you look at, all right, the assassination of Kennedy, then Johnson getting us more involved in the Gulf of Tonkin, the Tonkin incident. If you go to 67, the incident with the USS Liberty. If you look at the Iran-Contra stuff that went on, and we know the CIA was heavy into moving drugs and all kinds of shady shit in Vietnam also. You know, then you get up the first time they tried to bomb the World Trade Center, the FBI was involved in that. They were running like a sting operation. They had a guy on the inside. They ended up giving him real explosives. Fortunately for this guy, he documented the whole thing and had them on tape, etc. And you know, none of those guys lost their jobs, anything like that. Another tie-in to that, which we'll get to later, is, you know, Trump said he and his people had seen the inside of the buildings, and that it was amazing there wasn't a catastrophe then, because it was really quite heavy duty. So we know the FBI was involved in that shit. Then you fast forward to 9/11. Rumsfeld gives a speech about $2 trillion missing dollars. Those buildings housed a lot of the FBI, CIA stuff. You also got to look at Cheney's plan for the new American century. You know, the other terrorist attacks that happened in London and other places where people said, you know, and it was just convenient, you know, they were doing anti-terrorist simulations and stuff then, all that kind of stuff. Then you look at our involvement all over. You look at the bullshit with ISIS, you know, when ISIS was in power, or not in power, but, you know, doing their deal. You know, it might not have occurred to a lot of people, but it occurred to me. You know, I know about the pickup trucks they had. That occurred to people, because that made the news. Where are they getting all these new pickup trucks and stuff, and anything and all that? But what always occurred to me is you know, where are they getting all the ammunition? Because they spent that shit like it was nothing, you know, nothing. You know, and there's always a news crew to see them there somehow. It was like they're embedded with ISIS just as much as they were embedded with the U.S. military. There's always, you know, and you always see them, they're shooting off them rounds, and I mean, like, even the anti-aircraft gun stuff, the big heavy caliber stuff, that stuff ain't expensive. And then they put out the story that, you know, well, they were selling oil to get all this and everything, and it's like, oh yeah, really? So they're running around with some oil jugs under their coats. Hey, you know, hey Habibi, you want to buy some oil? Now, to sell oil requires an awful lot of infrastructure, pipelines, ships, financial infrastructure, transfers of large amounts of currency, and to buy ammunition requires all that too. Now, if you're in a war, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the one thing you try to do is cut off the supply lines of your enemy? Isn't it? But somehow this was able to string on and on and on, and they were constantly able to get resupplied and have all this ammunition. Now, you can't tell me we did not know, and there was a couple news stories that said the oil was being moved through Israel and Turkey. And if that was happening, you know it was being sold in Europe and it was being sold here. And if that was all going on, you know our intelligence agencies knew about it, and you know the politicians knew about it. And I can bet you damn well they had their fingers into it and were getting rich off of it also. All right? So We had people in this country who had full knowledge or who fully engaged with buying this oil, knowing that the money was going to go back to ISIS, who was going to be killing our servicemen. So when you look at everything that's going on now, there are so many dirty, and they're on both parties. You know, it's never my guy. You know, well, Obama wasn't in it. Obama was into plenty. Bush was into plenty. They're Clintons. You know, they're all into it plenty. You understand? Probably the only one who wasn't into it was Reagan. They did a lot of shit behind his back. And, you know, and there was another thing while he was president. Caspar Weinberger pulled out of Lebanon against the advice of Jim Baker so that the massacres could happen. And then they put our guys back in there. And guess what? What happens every single time something happens? Mysteriously, there's some kind of lapse of security. All right? They put guys back out there who were supposed to, you know, be defending the area, the barracks that the Marines were in. They didn't have any ammunition. They withheld them ammunition. You understand that? 9/11. Big time lapses of security. Oh, how could this happen? We could never have imagined this, yet they were doing exercises at the same time, well documented and everything, that, you know, they had an idea that planes might be used, etc., etc. So, another movie you should watch is W, about George Bush Jr. there. Because at one part of it, Richard Dreyfuss, who's playing Dick Cheney, gets up and goes up to the map and shows where all our bases are and all this and everything. And the gem in the middle is Iran. So I'm laying the ground, just the premise is that, you know, a lot of dirty shit has gone on. You look at Fast and Furious with Obama. You look at how all of a sudden the SEAL team that was supposedly the ones who carried out the quote-unquote killing of bin Laden die in a helicopter crash. Another thing, even you look at JFK Jr. You can't tell me they didn't off him. Even though he said he wasn't going to run for president, they were afraid he would. He would have won in a heartbeat. And they couldn't have that. He would have won in a heartbeat and screwed up all their works. They couldn't have that. So, you look at the killing of Gaddafi and the stuff that happened in Benghazi. What happened in Benghazi? Stand down. The ambassador asked for more security for how long? And was denied it, right? Oh, conveniently here in Washington, D.C., what do we got again? A lapse in security. Now, whether or not it was just overzealous people thinking they're patriots going in there, or if there was Antifa and some other crap and it's another false flag, I don't know. Whether Trump is the man who knew too much, who got in their way, or if somehow he got involved with some shit with them too, I don't know. This ain't about taking sides. This is just putting everything out there on the table to make you try and look at the big picture. Can we ever figure out the big picture? Probably not. So, one of the things they do, like I said, everything's hocus pocus. And they're working together with all this shit. You know, they might vie for power or whatever politically because they are power hungry. But there's a lot of stuff, like Trump said, you know, the swamp. A lot of people say there's a shadow government. All this other crap is really just a dog and pony show for what's really going on behind the scenes. It keeps us busy, don't it? A lot of the old dogs in Congress might know some stuff, but when you look at Trump, what he run on? He said Bush dropped the ball, the biggest lapse in security and lacks of defense of this country in history. Let that, he stepped on a lot of toes with a lot of stuff, and if you look at 9/11, when you had people starting to get wise and say, wait a minute, there's a bunch of suspicious shit going on here, and Trump was one of them. Go on YouTube, if you can still find it. On 9/12, he gave an interview. He said he talked about the first times them buildings were bombed, and then he talked about there had to have been bombs in there that had to have been like demolition. There's no way those planes did that and stuff. So, and you also got to look at Trump before he ever got into politics. He rubbed shoulders with all these people on the left and on the right, and people overseas. Now, if you want to tell me that there wasn't a person here or there that didn't say, hey, you want to know something, and let him in on some shit, I guarantee you the man knows some stuff, whether you like him or you don't. So anyhow, a lot of people were suspicious. When that started gaining traction, what'd they do? Instead of just, what the most people thought, like, hey, and you saw the witnesses, there was bombs going off. It was even on the evening news. People who were in the buildings, firefighters, said there's bombs going off. All the suspicious shit, right, gets all swept under the table. Who's involved in the investigation, all that and everything? FBI, of course. CIA, all that stuff. So, but when that started gaining traction, people, all of a sudden then the wacko videos started coming out, and they used energy beams and this and that and all these hypotheses, all kinds of stuff. But also what happened at that same time, if you watch Fahrenheit 9/11, there's a part in there where Condoleezza Rice is before Congress because they had a report given to them in August that Bin Laden was planning to attack using airplanes. And so it was staged. It was a dog and pony thing because was it Jordan? I forget which one it was. Asked her, so what was the name of the report again? And she said Bin Laden plans on using aeroplanes, blah blah blah, and all this. And he goes, but you still insist you had no knowledge that they're, this. And she goes, and she's like, yeah, whatever. So, but then the focus became on Bush. What a jackass. He dropped, which was no big thing to them because they know there's nothing, that's going to happen to him. We'll take all the heat. Sure enough. What do you got dogs on the hunt. What do? You get them off the scent. You give them something else to follow. You see what I'm saying? You give them something else to follow. And that's what they've been doing to us with all kinds of shit. Give them something else to follow. So if you remember, Trump ran on what? He's going to secure the country from terrorism, bring the troops home, all that kind of stuff, get us out of all that crap. So he knew, and this is where I'm going to say maybe he's in on it too, because we don't know. We'll have to see what the future holds. Only God knows, and the people on the inside. So, but and General Wesley Clark, after 9/11, who was the head of NATO in Europe and everything, said they had a hit list of all these countries that they were going to overthrow and do all this crap to and everything. And sure enough, you bet your ass, every single one of them we got involved in. And there's one left to go, Iran. Actually, two, because they're probably going to get us back into Syria, too. So don't let the whole, Obama dealt better with Iran than Trump did this and that, because it's all dog and pony shit. There's times they put things on the back burner just to get everybody off the scent. You know what I'm saying? And to wait, maybe, you know, they don't have all their pieces in place yet, so they gotta, you know, and they're fluid, so they can change their strategies at all times and their stories. So you can't really pin anything down. But all through Trump's presidency too, you got to realize, look at how many times even Lindsey Graham, who now is out there saying, you know, half-ass defending Trump, how many times they all said he's unfit for office and all this and all that kind of crap. So the Democrats and the Republicans, they work together. They're in collusion. When it's going to benefit them and their political power and all that stuff, they're in collusion. Now, a lot of them jumping out are just trying to make names for themselves and their own political careers, but a lot of the crap that you're hearing coming out is just straightforward. You know somebody's giving them a strict script to read, and it has to do with something bigger in play. You look at what happened at the Capitol. There's stories that, Trump was delayed an hour. These people started their attacks before he even finished talking, what have you. People saying, and I saw a video of the one guy. He is an Antifa guy. He was there, egging people on. Let's go, stuff. And there's reports of people being bussed in, etc. So look at Germany and the Reichstag. Now is this all a part of a done to get Biden into power? And you got to look, hey, lack security. The guard was there, the guard wasn't there. They were going to send the guard, but they turned them away. Trump wanted to use the guard in a lot of these cities this past summer when the riots were going on, and the mayors turned them away and stuff. So they'll use a lot of stuff like that to muddy all the waters up. So, there's no way what happened at the Capitol didn't happen without people pulling strings and making sure there was not enough security there. You understand that? There's no way that happened without people pulling some strings and making sure there was not enough security there, or they were put off somewhere else out of play. Just like there's no way that election got fixed without help from the outside. Just like no way 9/11 happened without help from the outside. Well, you can call it the inside, whatever. Just like they didn't bomb the Trade Center the first time without help from the FBI, who gave them the friggin' explosives. You understand this? There's a lot of black ops shit that goes on. You got $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon to pay for a lot of this shit. There's no way ISIS was selling oil without them knowing who was selling it and all that shit. There's no way they were getting all that ammunition trucked into them without us knowing where it was coming from, and we couldn't have put a cruise missile into that, munition, because those who makes those kind of anti-aircraft shells, or them large shells for them guns. There's only so many places that shit comes from. And you can't tell me we didn't know where it was coming from and couldn't have shut off the flow of ammunition anytime we wanted to. Many people, you're busy, you're just trying to live your lives, you're working, all this and everything. You don't really pay attention to the news. A lot of people could give a shit less. They're out partying. It's like with the election, they don't pay attention to issues. They don't know who said what or anything like that. All they know is they like this guy. They like Bernie because Bernie's animated, and talks about free shit or whatever. Nobody pays attention, and that's what they're counting on. And even if you do, like I said, it's a big ball of twine. What's the purpose of it all? I don't know. So like I said, Was Trump in the way? Did he get in the way too much? Did he screw up their plans? Did he bring those troops home? You know, they're staging them because they got Iran in the crosshairs. You know, are there bigger plans? You know, did Obama start all this shit about you didn't get that? You know, and white people are scared of us and they want to cling to their guns and Bibles. Did it start all this division and stuff? Was it just for political reasons, or is there some other shit that they're, you know, the Republicans were lockstep with all that and everything because it's all part of this bigger plan to divide us for some reason? And being our intelligence agencies, you know, hey, weapons of mass destruction, all that shit. You know, the reports that Saddam had ties to Al Qaeda and Bin Laden and all that shit, all the false stuff. You know, they lie, and that's governments, politicians, and shit. You shouldn't lie, because then when the country is under a threat and everything, and you need the people to fight for it, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck for? Look what you do to us. You overtax us, everything. You lie to us all the time. All this shit. How do we know it's good to go to war and defend the country? How do we know you're not full of shit?" So like I said, who knows what's going on with this Biden thing in the Capitol, and if there'll be some other incident happen. You got them now talking about, you know, they're vetting the National Guard people and all this, and you know, it's these, they like to get in front of the camera and flap their gums. You know, all these, I don't know if they're junior members of Congress or what they are, and all these television news stations do the same thing. Don't matter if they're on the left or the right. They all got their ex-FBI, ex-CIA, ex-military experts that they put on there to explain shit to you and everything like that. And it's like, really? You know, even Hollywood, you know, gets all the military help to make these movies, these action movies and stuff and everything like that. You know, so there's a lot of connections and stuff going on that we ain't even ever dreamed of. But here's the thing. Even, this is why I say, is Trump in or out or what? Who knows? And then again, why wouldn't he say stuff? I'm sure he got a lot of information. Because he's got kids. Maybe is why he didn't push issues and he hasn't released a bunch of stuff. But look, even under him, you know, that's why he got rid of people on the right and the left. Tried to get rid of him when he was president, because they're all together. It's a swamp, like he said. Now, if that wasn't a big thing, some kind of plan to further something too, I don't know. But here's the thing with Iran, you know, for all we know, that was all a ruse about us bringing our people out of Afghanistan and other places. They could just as easily be building up over there, wanting Iran to think we left and all this shit too, to draw them into something. Who knows? That's why I say, but you got to understand, you know, when you get that feeling and you go, man, that's kind of fishy shit, it's because it is. And like this whole year's been like the Twilight Zone and stuff, and all, because it's all the lies and there's all this stuff going on, not just domestically. Like I said, they'll put out a bunch of shit out there and get you busy discussing this and that and everything like that, and it's just to get you off the scent. They did that with 9/11. You know, and you know, going into Iraq and everything. Hey, if you didn't agree with George Bush and you spoke your mind and everything, what was you? Automatically, you were a leftist. You hated your country. You hated the military. All that bullshit that came from the right, which I felt, and I was registered Republican, conservative. And that's when I tore up my Republican voter ID registration, and I went and registered as independent. Because they're all full of shit. And if you want to try and tell me Obama isn't in on all that shit too, bullshit. All that crap with ISIS and then the groups trying to topple Syria and stuff like that. They were funneling weapons and all kinds of crap. Look at Benghazi. The Clintons in on that, and Obama in on that, and Biden in on that. They're all dirty. Every single rotten last one of them. The only one I can say maybe not is Trump. Is he dirty on some other crap or something? Who knows? But there's, is all this shit going on? Hey, maybe it's all going on so, they can pin the next world war on Biden or something. Maybe because, look, gonna get rid of the Muslim ban. It wasn't a Muslim ban. It was for security. Trump said he was going to protect this country from further attacks. Those countries had loose security. So what's Biden saying first off? He's gonna get rid of that shit. So look out, Muslim world. Can we be looking at another false flag, and then they're going to say it came from those countries because Biden let down the Muslim, quote-unquote, Muslim ban? Are they going to pin it on Iran? You see what I'm saying? You see how all this shit works? He's going to get rid of that Trump put in, and then whammo. We get a false flag. They blame it on Iran. Biden's to fault. It all starts over again. Just how they do remakes of movies. They keep using the same game plan with different players. That's all. It's the same script. Get us involved in conflicts so they can get rich. Hocus pocus, they stay in power. So I'll leave you all with that right now for this one. Maybe I'll think of some more stuff, do another one. But I wish you all the best out there. God bless. Just let me know what you think in the comments and pass this on if it made any kind of sense at all to you, to whoever you want to. And just know that there's dirty shit going on behind the scenes all the time. And God only knows if we'll ever find it all out. All right, wish you all the best out there. Adios.